What's this? Oh, pimple. Look at that flag around my waist. Why am I so fat? Oh God, I failed just by 2 marks. It's not believable. Damn! I lost that promotion. Once again, she outed me. No way. Why me? Why me? Friends, I'm sure some of you in this room relate to this self-bickering we do most of the times, don't you? Well, let me take you back to my self-bickering days. At the age of 9 months old, I contracted polio and scoliosis. Scoliosis? Curvature of the spine. Some curves of my life. I grew up in a 4-story building back then. My house was on the top floor and there was no elevator in the building. So I was carried up and down those floors for my entire childhood and the growing up years later. When I entered my teens, the feeling of being sculpted from a wrong mold slowly crept into me. Imagine you as a teenager having grown up and being carried around. Can psych you, wouldn't it? And the more and more I grew up, I felt conscious about how I looked, or rather, how the world looked at me. I couldn't go to a regular college. Why? Because there was no suitable access in the college. But I was fortunate to have lots of wonderful friends around the vicinity. Back then, I remember we would celebrate Rose Day, where we would exchange roses to either propose or to make friends. And I remember staring at these girls, my girlfriends, giggle away with a bunch of roses in their hands. And what was the qualification to get a rose? Good looks, good figure, good curves. Ha! And here I was, looking down at my empty hands, with rivers of tears flowing down. Why me? I completed my graduation through distance learning from Mumbai University. Post my graduation, I experimented with 3 different careers, which I failed. Why? Again, due to lack of suitable infrastructure. And each time I failed, I questioned, why me? Finally, in June 1999, I joined this NGO as a volunteer, which worked for the rights and entitlements of people with disabilities. As a core team of the rights group, we started this movement to make our country barrier-free for all. Initially, it was not only the people around me, the society around us. It was even my own parents, my father, who was against it. He said, I'm a Sindhi, okay? He's like, Chari chokri, tu duniya ke ferenge? No way. I'm like, you really think I can't do it? He said, yes. You're going to waste your time to change the system? Practical advice. But I was the most impractical person. Determined, and I stuck to my guns. I went ahead. I and I got involved with street plays, dramas, morchas, PILs, panel discussions, conferences, you name it. We went all out to sensitize the society, the government officials, all the stakeholders about the importance of having a barrier-free infrastructure. So around this time, this girl Sandra, she reached out to us asking for help. She could not visit her church for the Sunday Mass because the church was not accessible. So she wanted us to help her. Her story goes like this, that one fine morning, she was getting ready, rushing to work, and she slipped in her own house. She fell on her back and she was paralyzed waist down. Imagine a simple fall in her own house and her life changed 360 degrees for good. How unpredictable. So we got into action. We got in touch with the church, and after a lot of pushing and convincing, the church finally agreed. And friends, it was a mission accomplished when Sandra attended her Sunday Mass for the first time in 4 long years post her accident. The church had not only made a permanent ramp, but they had also reserved a special parking for those with disabilities. After this victory, it was my insightful moment that, hey, I could face my challenges with my own strength. So while my life took a turn, my NGO filed a public interest litigation, PIL, against the BEST, the public transport system in Mumbai, to make their buses accessible for all. I remember it was in 2003. I was representing my NGO for our first hearing of the case. And when I wheeled into the High Court building, I was disappointed to see that there was no access. There were steps leading to the elevator, and the irony was I had to be carried to reach the elevator to go to the second floor to the courtroom. And before I could ask myself, why me? I stopped myself. The irony didn't end there. I had to wait for 2 hours in the corridor, and I realized I wanted to use a washroom. And to my horror, there was not a single disabled-friendly washroom in the entire High Court building, and neither in the vicinity around. I pulled myself back. I calmed my nerves, and before I could ask myself why me, I said, no, this has to change. So as soon as my turn came, I entered the courtroom and I demanded an explanation to the judge. आप हमें यहाँ हमारे हक के लिए सुनवाई कर रहे हो, बट यहाँ हो रहे नाइंसाफी का क्या? Typical filmy melodrama. All eyes on me. And I said, you are giving us justice, but what about my right to access the High Court building with dignity? What about my right to use a basic, decent, accessible washroom with dignity? Where is justice under this roof? This statement shook the entire courtroom, including the judge. It was a aha moment, like this movie awards, Filmfare Awards, everyone is silent, looking at me. when the judge, he assured me and stated that under the law, each individual, each citizen is equal, and every person has the right to access public spaces and basic amenities. And friends, it was an epic moment the day the High Court inaugurated a permanent ramp and accessible washroom. And it was inaugurated on the World Human Rights Day. And mind you, thank you, the High Court building is a heritage building. It's not very easy to make changes, but they actually made a permanent ramp. I have the picture right here. That's the ramp. So all thanks to my fellow activist friends who followed up and got this impossible thing into possible. So, okay. After this High Court victory, I realized I had found my purpose. The purpose of making India barrier-free. This became my strength. I found a new voice within me. I now understood why I went through all those years of struggle during my childhood. I had found my answer. I was wearing the shoe and I knew exactly where it hurt. So, with the help of my newfound voice and the added strength by my team, I made this mission, the movement of making India barrier-free, as my mission of life. Because it was not about one Neenu, it was so many wheelchair users, crutch users, visual, hearing, and speech impairment, and to add to that, senior citizens, obese, pregnant women, they all need same facilities just like I do. So these barriers has a huge impact on everyone's life. So I set out as a lady with a mission. In 2001, Sir Stephen Hawking visited India. He expressed his desire to visit the Taj Mahal. The tourism sector went into frenzy because they realized that Sir Hawking could not do so on his motorized chair. Overnight, facilities were laid out. Ramps were made everywhere. In fact, a well-known reputed 5-star hotel went out of the way and they changed the entire interior of their room to make his stay comfortable. We were very happy to see these changes. But what was really the pain point here was that we, the citizens of this country, could only dream of visiting these monuments. And it takes somebody to come from outside and get these changes made. Unfair. Sheer ignorance. So in 2011, 3 of my friends, activist friends, Arvind, Nishant, Sunita and me, all 4 of us, wheelchair users, set out on an all-India tour by road. The purpose was to sensitize the tourism and the hospitality sector, telling them about the lack of infrastructure within the tourism industry and how important the facilities were for tourists with special needs. Adding to it, senior citizens and pregnant women. It makes a large segment. tour was titled Beyond Barriers, Incredible India Tour, and we traveled to 28 state capitals, 40 cities, and covered 19,500 kilometers in 84 days. This memorable tour was answer to my questions. Why can't I go to vacation? Why can't I see this beautiful country just like you? With the help of the strength of my team, I managed to bring some thought-provoking action within the tourism and the hospitality industry. After this tour, having gained the confidence, having got all my answers and purpose, I now wanted to explore a different facet of my persona. That girl who did not receive a single rose back then. I now wanted to challenge how the society looked at me. So I got that opportunity in November 2013 when Miss Wheelchair India Beauty Pageant was organized in Mumbai for the first time. I was excited, my pulse was racing. I took part along with 40 other beautiful women across India with disability. We had fun, we took part, we got dressed, we walked the ramp, and I won the title. And you know what was the best part? That girl who did not receive a single rose back then, she was flooded with 250 friend requests on Facebook in one night, in one evening. It was my day to go back to those giggly girls and giggle back at them and say, hey, listen, I'm the Miss Wheelchair India now. So, this journey has taught me a few things. Never compare yourself to others. You are unique. Appreciate and love yourself just the way you are. When I found my purpose, I found my passion, I found my strength, I could break through my mental blocks, my limits, and I could touch my skies. You can do so too. The limits are only in your mind. Go find your purpose, find your passion, and you see how you will break through your mental blocks, your mental limits. Go move your mountains, bring a smile to somebody's life, make a difference. You have the talent, you have the knowledge, you have it all. And next time, don't question your